Hi everybody, it is me, MrXStitch. I am back for another FlossTube video. It's been a couple of weeks. Time flies when you're having fun, and by Christ, have I been having fun? I've been having fun, I suppose. I've been mostly working. Let me tell you all about it. So at the moment, as is becoming traditional, I'm now in the depths of making my magazine, issue 3 of XStitch magazine, the space issue, featuring some exciting designs from people like Lucy Heaton, Floss and Mischief, Lord Libidan, Keith Clark, Peacock and Fig, some wise guy called MrXStitch. I'm quite excited. We've got some new designers on board. We've got Smart Cross Stitch, who come from Russia. That's boss. Really pleased about that. And yeah, it's shaping up quite well. It's quite outer spacey, but it's still going to be a good magazine. We've got some good articles on the way. We've got an article about the patches that they use on space suits, featuring interviews with real NASA people, hopefully. And we've got an interview with a Dutch graffiti artist who goes by the name of Zeds. He does some pretty cool stuff. So yeah, it's shaping up pretty well. But yeah, you know, I'm deep in the thick of it now. I've got a self-imposed deadline to achieve, so what better time to do another FlossTube video than now, huh? So I hear you ask, what have you been up to? And that's a very good question. What have I also been up to? Well, one of the things I wanted to tell you about this time was the forthcoming knitting and stitching show, which actually happens this time next week. It's Friday evening as I record this hasty video, and this time next week I will have just finished the Friday session of the show, where we'll be featuring not only the work of Crapistry, who I will show you a very brief selection of his work here. Pretty groovy, huh? We've also got the work of Keith Clark, who's been featured in the magazine. I'm quite looking forward to. He's got a massive piece, cross-stitch piece of Elvis that's done on some wood, which we're going to have. And then we've got those Victorian samplers that we featured in the last video. If you haven't seen the last video, click somewhere to find those, because you won't regret it. And yeah, we've got designs from the book and designs from the magazines and stuff, so it will be quite good. So that's quite hectic, and I'm trying to get the magazine done before then. If you've got the opportunity to come down to London and see it, then please do. It runs from Thursday the 1st of March through to Sunday the 4th of March, and if you haven't bought a ticket yet, use the code MrXStitch at the checkout and you get £2 off an adult ticket. Totally worth it. Now, the other thing I thought I'd mention is that this week it was quite exciting, because on Wednesday I got to go down to the Saatchi Gallery in London for the premiere of the Craft Council's Collect 2018 showcase, which is basically a showcase of crafts, modern crafts these days, you know. And as is often the case with these kind of crafty things, it's quite sort of ceramic-y, glassy, jewellery kind of, you know, textiles doesn't always get a look in the same way as it could. However, there were quite a few textile pieces there. I got the opportunity to go down thanks to the good people at the Tansy Contemporary Gallery, who came over from the States with a selection of work, which is very groovy, and mainly thanks to my good friend Carol Shin, who, if you've not seen her work, she's an absolutely fantastic machine embroidery artist. I wrote an article about her Fibre Arts Now magazine about a year ago. And what Carol does is she just creates photorealistic images of natural forms, be it like woodland scenes, rusted buildings, old cars, those kind of things. And she does it in highly detailed machine embroidery. I mean, look at these pieces here. And you can see exactly what she does. And the way she presents the work is she presents it without any commentary or narrative, so you just get to look at the beauty of what you're looking at, right? So it kind of works like this. You look at the beauty of what you're looking at. Because it's done in machine embroidery, it gives you a second opportunity to look at it, because you see not only is it an amazing scene, but it's made of machine embroidery. And then the fact that Carol's taken the time to make that piece of work makes you then reconsider the work again, or the image again, you know. So you see these tree roots as being something magnificent in their very own. And the way her work works, it's part of the sort of natural movement of artists, a bit like Henry David Thoreau's Walden. The whole idea being that we should really recognize the magnificence of nature and understand what it's capable of. because too often we take it for granted. You know, with all the shit that's going on in the world, sometimes I have to take the perspective of thinking about the trees and going, do you know what? There's trees that's been around for 200 years and they're not bothered who the president is right now because it doesn't really matter. And I sometimes think that's the right attitude. So that was great. Yeah, we got to go to the Saatchi and we got to have a look round. And on 3 floors, you get all kinds of different galleries providing all kinds of different work. And to be honest, it's quite overwhelming. There's so much to look at. It's almost like you need to do a lap of it, then take a breather, go outside, reflect, look at the sky, let your brain empty a bit, and then go back in and look at the things that you want to see. Because at every turn, there was new and interesting crafted things to be seen, whether it was ceramics, glassware, furniture, jewellery, papercraft, and real high-end stuff, you know. I got talking to a few of the galleries and just kind of in the end learned to preface it by explaining to them that I had no money because it was a bit of a sales fair. But you know, the smallest thing, there was one thing I saw that I thought I could buy, which was part of a selection of ceramic animal heads by Susan O'Byrne. I took a couple of pictures, so here's Susan's work. And there was this teeny tiny animal head that I really quite liked. And I liked all of it, but the animal head was £90, and I thought, well, that's achievable because literally every other thing in the entire building was out of my price range. Maybe one day, maybe not, but you know, I respect the value of craft. You know, I always say to people, if you're going to do work, you should charge £10 an hour minimum. If people don't want to pay that price, they're not really respecting the handwork that's gone into it. And that's the whole thing, but I know that I can afford this stuff. Anyway, as I breezed around the show, I was looking out for textiles, so I was really interested when I came across the work of Hannah Robson. And Hannah weaves fabrics and then puts wire through the fabric and is able to then manipulate that wire, almost like breaking the surface and doing different things with it. So really interesting to see that, really elegantly done, and I'm quite interested to see how her work evolves over time. But as I say, there wasn't a lot of needlework and textiles out there. There were some interesting moments, but they were definitely on the minority. Predominantly it was the harder surfaces and those sorts of things. But there were some interesting people. And so I thought I'd like share some of the pictures that I took with while I was there. They're phone pictures, they're not the best, but I mean, hopefully you'll enjoy them. So first of all, Laura Hart. Now Laura had this big 5x5 display of orchids that she'd made from glass, and they were absolutely beautiful. I mean, again, a bit like Carol's work, it makes you look at the beauty of the craftsmanship with what she'd done with glass, and then makes you understand the beauty of orchids. You know, they were big flat pieces, but they showed the intricacy and the patterns that you see in these flowers, which you might not necessarily see otherwise. And particularly some of the examples that she'd used were actually quite small plants in the first place, and she'd made them much larger and much easier to appreciate. So I really kind of enjoyed those works. A couple of bowls stood out to me by someone called Francis Priest. I quite like the sort of traditional tile designs of them and the way geometry was kind of factored into things. I do like a good tile. I don't know quite what that is about, but yeah. At the Tansy Contemporary Gallery, as well as Carol's work, there were a selection of pieces by a guy called Calvin Marr, who, again, ceramic pieces, but like these kind of superheroes. And they had like roofs on their heads. There were characters, but inside the heads of the characters there were other little characters poking out, and it was just quite, I don't know, they were really quirky but really filled with character and so really nicely made to look at. It was really quite great. And then there was someone called Armel Barras, and what he was doing was using traditional lace patterns but with wire, so kind of making these little forms that were, yeah, basically just wire tiny flat sculptures but had that lacework element into them, which I just thought was a really nice use, again pulling the traditional into a more modern kind of circumstance. Lim Jong Suk, which undoubtedly I have mispronounced, part of the Korean exhibit, and a sort of silversmith jewelry maker who created tiny insects out of metal. On first glance you realize that they're not actual insects because they're made of metal, and then it turns out that actually the insects aren't actual versions of insects either. They're just kind of creations that he's made that echo a lot of those kind of insect forms. But I do really like, much like with Susan's animal heads, I just like the you know, a natural form in a different subject. In fact, to be honest, of all the things I looked at, weirdly, the natural forms were the ones that appealed to me the most. I mean, there was a lot of beautiful glassware, vases, you know, lovely tables, so much stuff that was really, really nice, and also so much stuff that, quite frankly, just left me cold. But that's what makes it great when you go to a show like that. There's so much to look at, and I kind of wish I had had more time to sort of look around and time to reflect. And because I have this weird thing, right? I'm MrXStitch, and in some ways that's kind of a big deal, but in other ways it really isn't. And so, you know, I could probably have a conversation with the craft council and they might have heard of me, but at the same time I could have conversations with some of these galleries and they wouldn't have a clue who I was, but just be like, who's that middle-aged guy who apparently hasn't got any money? So it's difficult because I never really get to have the depth of experience. And when you look around these shows as well, you know, it's at the Saatchi Gallery. It's like the preview night of this thing. It's like I don't know, some of the best craftsmanship in the world in one place. And looking at the people going around was almost as interesting as looking at the artwork itself. It was great to have gone there, and I'm really glad I got the opportunity to do so. And I'd like to thank the gallery for giving me the opportunity, and I'd like to thank Carol for getting me over, or getting me down, because she and her husband Randall and I had a lovely meal afterwards, and that was really nice. And you know, those are real precious moments, really. So I think Collect is only on for like 4 days or something, so it might be that you won't really get a chance to go and see it, but hopefully I've given you a little taster of what was there. And yeah, great to see the crafts, great to see beautifully made items. Shame the needlework still isn't high on the agenda, but you know, that's what I'm here for, huh? Maybe we can change that. That's all for now. I just thought I'd bang out a little FlossTube video for you because it's been a couple of weeks. I don't want to let this thing drift off, even though I'm a ridiculously amount of busy. Hopefully I'll get the opportunity to do another video next time, reflecting back on the knitting and stitching show, because that's going to be an insane few days. I might see if I can do some filming while I'm down there, but I make no promises, because then I won't disappoint you. However, if you are going to go to the show, if you're thinking about it, Thursday 1st of March through to Sunday 4th of March, buy your tickets, quote the MrXStitch code, and you get a discount, and then let me know you're coming. Bring like some chocolates. I've got the degree students from the Royal School of Needlework there. They're going to need sustenance, and yeah, you'll have a good day, I promise you. So until next time, people, have a lovely time, and I look forward to reading your comments, all of that sort of stuff. It is really nice hearing from you all, so yeah, I hope you can do that. I hope to see you soon. Take care of yourselves. I love you. Bye. Thanks for tuning in. If you like this video, please like the video down below. If you feel like you're interested in what I have to say, please subscribe to my channel. That'll be great. There'll be another video here for your viewing pleasure of something else that I have to say. And until next time, this is your boy, MrXStitch, signing off. Love ya. Bye.